this is for sort of my intermediate people who are sort of familiar with Viewmodel animation for the most part. I'm gonna sort of describe this note that I got from a on this art test that I'm working on right now. And essentially the note had to do, well, firstly, this is the reload we'll be looking at. Excuse my computer's lag right now. But the note was essentially to try and utilize more sort of side side to side. This actually wasn't the reload; it was this one. But the note generally applies for everything. But the note had to do with this pose right here, and it was to do with these keyframes right here specifically. So, or is it these ones or is it these ones? So his note was that right here specifically, it's just too back and forth. That is sort of the feedback he gave me. It's very just pull it back into his chest and let go forward. So what he suggested to me was to try and make this more of I don't know what's going on. To try and make it more of an angle, going off to an angle. And what he's saying is to try and use more of this side to side sort of that kind of thing. So all I really did was, in terms of adjusting it, was just moving it over here to the right more, and doing a little bit of stuff right here where it goes down on the layer, but it's using more of this sort of side axis. What it is really using more of this x-axis here. Sorry, let me take a drink of water. And really the way that I sort of understand this is what he's referring to is because I think about this in terms of the axes themselves. So if I go to this other scene here and take a look at this reload, essentially the idea is that this is just all too forward facing. The mag out pose is very similar to the mag in pose. It's all very forward, and it's not utilizing this side to side here. And essentially what's happening is it's changing the it is changing this axis right here, the rotation axis of the yaw, which turns the weapon. But the confusing thing is here is I'll try and explain this. So the way that you typically this is sort of for intermediate people for a reason. So if you understand setting up a weapon rig, the whole thing is essentially understanding how to deal with these axes here, and the way a comfortable way of handling it is sort of going X for pitch, which controls the Y, the yaw, and then that controls the Z roll. And that just follows the typical sort of like order that you'd expect, X, Y, Z. and it makes sense setting it up like this, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes the rig or the bone will be oriented where it'll be like this, and the blue, the roll will be in the yaw position, or something like that. So the idea is to set it up to where you have it like this, so it's sort of advantageous to you. Hey, so as I'm editing this, I noticed that there's actually something I should add right here, where basically the reason you want to set it up like this is because having it be X, Y, and Z is corresponding to something called the parallel axis theorem, which I don't have enough time to get into fully in this, but to break it down, it has to do with these alternating axes. So you have the side to side here of the rotation, the yaw, which is connected to the actual x-axis, which moves side to side, and that's connected to the pitch here. If you were to just do the middle one, and then sort of go ahead and alternate those, and you have pitch up and down, which is connected to this, uh, you know, tilting forward and up and down, and then you have rotation. So, or sorry, this blue one is actually back and forth, uh, side to side, back and forth, side to side. So that's basically what that is. And if you think about what these are doing here, when you're alternating them, they're doing this concept where it's changing the face direction that you're animating. Hard to explain, but yeah, that's what's happening. Another video. It's not necessary, but it explains this concept that I'm trying to convey here more easily. And it is really not necessary. The concept itself is just, I'm going to try and explain it using these axes. And what's happening is, so what he had mentioned was, he said something about it being basically up and down. So if I turn it like this, right, and I have sort of, you could imagine as if this was that submachine gun from the other scene. If I pull the bolt back here, it's gonna go up and forward and move sort of in this fashion. But if it's rotated on its flat axis like this, where you're seeing more of the side, let's say you pulled that bolt, you might be able to get more side motion out of it and exaggerate it. That's a little bit much, but like this, for instance, you could pull it back and sort of get a little bit more of a visual of the side. That's all the concept is, really. But the thing about it is, what's really happening is you're moving this yaw axis to sort of have some sort of separation within the mag out and the mag in poses, like the core poses themselves. So I haven't really worked on this, I just sort of made a layer, but if I was to apply what I'm saying right now, it would look something like this, where you would And this is something I do all the time within a reload that I'll be working on. This one I was just happened to have just brushed out the door. So it would look like this, where I'm sort of really focusing on it's up and down, and it's back and forth for the mag out. And then for the mag in here, the idea is to utilize the other axes. So it would be trying to do more side to side. So that goes, it sort of rotates it here to the side where you get more of a face on view. It looks a little ridiculous, but bear with me here. So I'm going to bring this closer to the idle position, which can help some situations. That's another video maybe. So it's always consistently using up and down. That's sort of the connecting thread between all these axes. But this here is this mag in, just to try and make it feel more dynamic from the mag out. It would just be a matter of turning it to the side and again, just sort of making it use more of that side to side. And what's interesting about this again is the axes themselves. What's actually happening is you're trying to move this yaw, but what's really happening is if you have it set up like this in the sort of ideal configuration, where you'd approach it sort of like at a algorithmic perspective, this axis actually turns into this one in some sense when you rotate it upward. So thinking about it like that, you're trying to, there's something appealing about it within having some sort of variation, or so it's almost like feeling gimbal lock or something like that, where that's it's all very high level, or whatever you want to call it, concepts, abstract sort of thinking, but it's also not, it's subjective, but it's not. What I'm trying to say is very concrete here, and sort of there is just some sort of appeal there can be in having a nice pose variation between these actions. And it doesn't have to be very much. It can be very small, it can be extreme, but it's like the term breaking like line of action keeps coming to mind. It's like there's always something with like trying to rotate this on like imagine you're varying these mag out and mag in positions on like some sort of weird invisible ball gimbal thing that's like, and then you try and find the most dynamic different positions and then like scale that down as much as you can. I don't know if that made any sense. It's kind of yeah, whatever. So that's that. Could do also this where I'm like, you get to where the mag out, it only turns so far to the side like that when the mag goes out. So it's like here, and then the mag out pose is more right here, and then the mag in pose is right here. And this is all following these loose rules using these axes. And that's how I approach it now. It's very algorithmic. It's not a guessing game anymore for me. It's creative in some sense, but it really is about understanding how to use layers and how to set up a rig so it's, you know, advantageous to how you can think about animation. If you use quaternion or whatever, no hate, but I like control of my axes, so that's that. Thank you.